everything you need to know about villagers. Do we have to do this one? Please. You're so annoying. Villagers are non-hostile mobs that spawn in villages. They can have trades depending on their job from their job site, which we'll get into in a minute, and they can reproduce to create baby villagers, which we will also get into in a minute. But this is an example of a village, and you can see they have their own animals, they have their own crop sources. Usually they have a farm, this one doesn't. The buildings are all automatically generated and they have different purposes. So obviously this looks like some kind of church. And the grass path naturally generates here to allow you to get around the village. As you can tell, they make really annoying noises. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the friendly creatures and hostile creatures down to off. Lovely. So first of all, we're starting off with the Unemployed Villager. They have no workbench or workstation. They also have no trades. When you right click on them, they will just shake their head. They are an open book and can link to any workstation, and as long as you don't trade with them, they can change from workstation to workstation. As soon as you trade from them, they are locked into that workstation. First up, with an actual profession, we have the Armourer. The Armourer allows you to trade things for pieces of armour, shields, that kind of thing, usually emeralds. The prices here are the usual prices, so 4 emeralds for iron boots. Unfortunately, when I was setting up this system, I had to kill a lot of villagers, which is a mechanic in the villager trading, that if you hurt or kill villagers, their trades will go up in price, and if you save villagers by curing them from being zombies or saving them from pillagers or trade with them or that kind of thing, their trades will go down. So currently these are very high trades, but these are the normal trades and you can get them to go down. So this guy trades normally 25 emeralds for a Blast Protection 2 diamond chestplate, which is quite useful. His workstation is the Blast Furnace, which you can see just behind him, and you craft the Blast Furnace by putting a furnace in the middle of the crafting table, iron around the top, and smooth stone around the bottom. The purpose of the Blast Furnace is that it works as a regular furnace, however it smelts ore faster than a regular furnace would. Next up we have the Butcher, who trades things like raw meat and farmed goods such as kelp block and sweet berries for emeralds and cooked food. Good way to get a reliable food source, especially if you don't have room or time for farms. The workstation is a smoker, which works similar to the Blast Furnace, only instead of cooking ores faster, it cooks food faster. And you craft the smoker by putting a furnace in the middle of any kind of wood. So the logs, the stripped wood, or the wood. Next up we have the Cartographer, and surprise surprise, his workstation is the cartography table. The Cartographer is a little bit of an odd one, and he lets you trade emeralds for empty maps, ocean explorer maps, and woodland explorer maps to find ocean temples, ocean monuments, and woodland mansions. You can trade for emeralds, paper, glass, compasses, things that make maps. You can also get different coloured banners and banner patterns from this guy. The only place you can get the globe banner pattern. The cartography table is made by using any kind of planks with paper on top like this. Moving on, we have the Cleric. This guy is the magical villager. His workstation is the brewing stand, which I'm sure we're all familiar with, how you craft with 3 cobblestone at the bottom and a blaze rod on top. This guy allows you to trade emeralds for things like redstone dust, lapis, things that are used in enchantments and potions, Eyes of Ender, Bottle of Enchanting, one of the only places you can get this in-game. You could also trade nether wart for emeralds and other things such as gold and rotten flesh, which is good if you have a zombie farm. Next, we have the Farmer, potentially one of the more useful villagers. They can be used to create automatic farms, as they will harvest fully grown crops and keep what they have in their inventory and replace them so they end up gathering more in their inventory. You then get them to throw some of that to a villager friend that's just out of reach. Hopper picks up that, and then you have an automatic farm. Their workstation is the composter, which you craft using any kind of wood slabs in this formation. You could trade with them any kind of farmed thing. So this one has come through with wheat and potatoes, but you can have carrots in here, pumpkins, melons, that kind of thing, and then you can trade emeralds for food. Good source of reliable golden carrots, especially if you can cure this guy up from being a zombie villager to get this melon or pumpkin trade down to 1. Then your melon or pumpkin farm becomes an emerald farm, and for every 4 melon or pumpkins you get, you can get 3 golden carrots. Next up, we have the Fisherman, which I have to say I've never particularly used. His workstation is the barrel, which I do like as a block. It's the storage block. It's similar to a chest. However, they don't. It's kind of a cross between a chest and a shulker box. They don't merge together when you put two together, and you can put them at different angles like a shulker box. This guy trades all sorts of, as you can imagine, fishing things. Trades fish for emeralds, emeralds for fishing rods, buckets of fish, boats, that kind of thing. So a good way to get fishing rods if you need them, or if you have some kind of puffer fish farm, nice way to get some emeralds. The barrel can be crafted using either of the 2 following recipes, either a slab at the top or the bottom, any kind of slab in both of them, and either sticks down the side or wood down the side, wood planks. This one is more efficient. Swiftly moving on, we have the Fletcher, whose table is the fletching table. That is his workstation, which is crafted using any kind of planks with flint on top, similar to the cartography table. This guy will trade anything arrows, so he will allow you to get flint in case you're struggling for flint, get arrows, bows, crossbows. You can trade string and feathers and that kind of thing for your emeralds. You can even get enchanted crossbows and bows for your emeralds. Onto the third row now, and we have the leatherworker, whose workstation is a cauldron, and contrary to popular belief, you do not need water in the cauldron for this guy to function. You make it with iron ingots placed in a U-shape in the crafting bench, like so, similar to the composter, however, with iron. This guy will trade anything and everything leather, so emeralds for leather armor, dyed leather armor. This guy is most useful for getting leather horse armor and saddles. Onto one of the most important villages now, we have the Librarian. The Librarian's workstation is a lectern. The lectern is crafted like this, with slabs at the top, any kind, bookshelf in the middle, and a slab at the bottom. This guy is extremely useful, as you can trade certain things for emeralds, like paper and ink sacs. However, this particular villager is not of massive use. However, each one of these trades is interchangeable and random, and you can get any and all enchanted books, and this is actually the only way in game without cheating to get mending books. You trade emeralds and books and a book for the mending book, and then you go to the anvil and put it on your gear. This guy, if you can get him cured up to get these books for really cheap, is a really easy way to get good enchantments on your gear. Next up, we have the mason, whose workbench is the stone cutter. Quite a useful block in itself. It allows you to put an object in here and turn it into a slab or stairs. For example, if I were to put stone in there, I can turn that one piece of stone directly into one piece of stairs, which usually you would lose out on some when you do it in a crafting table. So really interesting. The stone cutter again has 2 crafting recipes. You can use normal stone with an iron ingot, or you can use a combination of any of the granites, andesites, or diorites, polished or not polished, with iron ingot on top. This guy will trade, as you guessed, anything building related, anything stone related, so you can trade emeralds for the chisel blocks, the quartz blocks, quite useful so you don't have to waste your quartz, different kind of glazed terracotta, different kind of normal terracotta, and then you can trade things like stone and clay for your emeralds. So if you've done a large mining project, you don't necessarily need the stone. This guy can get you lots of emeralds. one now who I think looks slightly similar to the Fisherman, I think, over there. This guy is the Shepherd, so his workstation is the Loom. And for those of you that don't know, I've never really used this before, but this is for making banners. You put a banner in there, you put dies in there, and then you can make a pattern of it there, and this is how you make your banners. It is crafted using 2 oak planks and then 2 string on top like that. This guy will trade anything and everything to do with wool and sheep and dyes. So you get carpets, beds, banners, paintings for your emeralds. You could also trade different kinds of wool for your emeralds and different kinds of dye for your emeralds. On to the final 2 now, and here we have the toolsmith. His workstation is the smithing table, which cannot actually be used yet. However, in the 1.16 Nether update, it is going to be used to upgrade tools and armor to netherite tools and armor. It can be crafted using any planks in this formation with iron ingots on top. And as you guessed, this guy can trade things for emeralds for all of your tool supplies. So you have all of the different diamond tools here with quite good enchantments on them, breaking 2, efficiency 2. You can also trade iron and coal for your emeralds for this guy. Last but not least, in the villagers with jobs, we have the Weaponsmith, who has the Grindstone, which you can use to repair or disenchant tools, as his workstation. The Grindstone can be crafted like this, with any kind of planks on the bottom, 2 sticks at the top, and the stone slab in the middle. And this guy will trade anything that is to do with weapons. So you can buy axes and swords. You can sell coal and iron and flint to him, and diamonds, normally not at such an inflated rate. Finally, we have 2 variations on the villager. You have the zombie villager and the witch, which have no kind of crafting required for them. The zombie villager happens when a village gets attacked by a zombie and turned into a zombie. You can see they're slightly different from a normal zombie. They look like a villager. They have the nose and the eyes of a villager, and they burn in daylight, which is why the slab is above him. They will despawn if you don't name tag them, which is why I've name tagged him. To kill this guy up, you hit him with a splash potion of weakness, and then hit him with a golden apple so he can eat it, and you can see he starts shaking. Waiting anywhere up to 6 minutes will allow this guy to turn back into a villager, and his trades will be greatly reduced. He will also share with the fellow villagers his struggles that he has been cured, and these guys will also drop their trades. The witch is a version of a villager. As you can see, they look very similar, and it is when a villager or a certain area, small area around a villager, gets struck by lightning, they will turn into a witch. A witch can spawn naturally as well, given the normal mob spawning rules, and will also spawn in witch huts, which can be found in swamp biomes. However, yes, if a villager gets struck by lightning, or a small area around them gets struck by lightning, they will turn into a witch, which is a hostile mob that will attack the player using all kinds of potions and things like that. As I mentioned earlier, villagers can breed with each other to form baby villagers. This happens in the following way. So if 2 villagers are in an area with sufficient beds that have a 2-block gap above them, they are eligible to breed. What they need is food, and this happens when either they are a farmer and they farm, or a farmer passes them food. So what we are going to do here is we're going to throw out all of these carrots, which is far more than they actually need. You can see them picking up, the love hearts begin, and what they will do is they will throw the carrots to each other if they stop nodding at me. And when they pass the carrots back and forth, they will check for the beds. They'll see that there's sufficient beds, and our zombie villager just cured up. And yes, they will have a baby. So this is a baby villager. They like to bounce on the beds, as you can see, and that's an actual thing. And yeah, these guys will throw food back and forth from each other every so often and begin the breeding process until all the beds in the area are filled up. As I was just showing in that last clip, this guy was a zombie villager. He's been cured up, and you can see he is ready to receive his trades. So, final thing you need to know about villagers is that when a mob is spawned near them, they will panic. If they are in a big enough group, they will spawn in some protection. It's not working right now as we are in creative mode. However, I'll show you anyway. So they spawn in an iron golem. If the village is big enough, they'll spawn them in anyway. But yeah, when a mob is close by, they will panic and do this. And this iron golem will protect them from the mobs. You can also spawn an iron golem in manually using 4 iron in this configuration and putting a carved pumpkin on top. And you can see he went straight for the zombie and killed it. Now we will just patrol the village. These guys can also be used in using this mechanic to make an iron farm, as when you kill them, although it takes a while, they have something like 200 health points. They drop roses and iron. See? Okay, so to round off the video, we're going to talk a little bit about the actual trading mechanics and how these work. So when you get a villager, it is a plain villager and they don't have a trading station, they'll just shake their head at you. You can take a trading station of any kind. I've chosen a lectern here and place it down, and as long as it is within the vicinity of them, they will latch on to it. So this guy has now become a librarian novice. So you can see he has a little iron coloured badge or stone coloured badge on his belt. So that means he is a novice. If I were to take away this lectern and put a different lectern there, it would change his trades. If I was to take that lectern away and put a different workbench there, he would change into a different type of villager. So what I've done is I've loaded up on paper, so we're going to show how this works. So this guy trades 24 paper for an emerald and 27 emeralds and a book for a quick charge enchanted book. So I'm going to trade some paper, and you can see this novice level here is going up. If you just click here and then shift click here, it'll do all the trades you can. The novice level is now full. If you leave, you'll see the green little sparkles mean you've done a trade. The purple sparkles mean they've leveled up, and now they have an iron coloured badge on their belt rather than the stone one from before, and they've unlocked 2 new trades. Now every time they unlock new trades, they're from a pool of trades, so I think there's sort of like 4 trades that can go across these 2. So this time we've got a book for an emerald and an emerald for a lantern. So every time you level up, it's harder and takes longer to get up to the next level. So if I trade, it shows you how much it's going to go up by, and it's not going to go up by as much as it did last time. So it'll actually take more paper for us to get up there, but that's okay because I want to show a different mechanic. So if you trade too much with the villager, they will lock out their trade. So I can now no longer trade paper with this guy until he resets his trade. They reset their trades up to twice a day, and they do that at their workstation. So they have to be within reach or able to get to their workstation. So this guy will reset this trade twice every day, and we just have to wait for it. An alternative to this, however, is to stock up on something else that he trades. So I have 18 emeralds, so I'll trade them in for lanterns, and you can see that 1 trade is going to do that. So if I trade them all, it'll go quite high. And the lantern trade is now locked out, and you can hear that I get a lot of experience when I trade. So if I just change my game mode to survival, you should be able to see that I get the experience. I'm on 14 experience points now. So this guy has leveled up again. So he now takes ink sacks and emeralds and book for a Fortune 2 book. That's not actually too bad. But you can see what I was talking about before about how constant trading will drop their prices. So this slash out means that he no longer takes 5 ink sacks for an emerald. He now takes 4 ink sacks for an emerald. He's still not refreshed his trades. So let's trade some books for emeralds instead. You can see I've gone up to level 16. And he's got the particle effect. So now he's got a emerald badge. I believe he had a gold one on the previous level. This is the expert level. If you scroll down, you can see he now does a Curse of Binding book and a book and quill for an emerald. So we will now trade. Let's see what we can trade. So I've changed my game mode back to creative now. I've just slept through the night, so this guy should be refreshing his trades soon. I've made some space so we can duplicate these emeralds, so we can now trade for this enchanted book. But you can see as we go further down and do the bigger trades, it not only costs more, but it upgrades this guy more. So I take a Curse of Binding book and another Curse of Binding book, and we'll take a Fortune 2 book. You can see he's gone up, and you'll see his emerald badge changed to a diamond badge. Now he's a master and he cannot upgrade anymore, and his final 2 trades are His final one trade is a name tag, and usually this final trade is a single trade and it does not go in with any other trades, so you will always get this name tag from this guy. The other villagers all work the same, they all have their own selection of trades you can get, and it's just a process of trial and error. So that is everything you need to know about villagers. Pretty basic concepts in this one. You can go into a lot more detail with the breeders and the mechanics. However, I thought I would just cover the basics for those of you that don't know anything about villagers. If there's anything else you want me to cover in everything you need to know about, please let me know down in the comments. Otherwise, feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers!